Yeah. Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Enjoy English School. I'm Chris Gorski.
I'm Antony.
Today is March 15th, and we're looking at pages 34 and 35 in our magazine. Today, our topic is Ikeido Jun, author of the Hanzawa
Naoki
series.
That's right. 我们今天的主题呢
You go.
OK， 我们今天的主题呢是这个半泽直树，因为这个地方 Hanzawa Naoki， 因为老师没有看，所以他对这个发音呢没有那么的习惯哦。但今天还有讲到另外他的这个作者是这个池井润啊，池井户润的 Ikeido Jun。
So when I started learning new language, I started with Japanese.
Oh.
And the thing about Japanese, it was really hard for me to say. What's the catchphrase?
Catchphrase? Oh, do you mean this?
Yeah.
Hanzawa Naoki, やられたらやり返す。倍返しだ。
That is so hard for me. And I looked at Chinese words and I was like, oh, this is way shorter. This is easier. So I started to learn Chinese, not Japanese, because it was easier to say. That's a true story.
没错，老师之前刚开始来亚洲的时候，想说，我要学日文好了，就没想到日文他觉得学起来怎么学不进去的感觉，好辛苦，我看了半天都不太念得出来。可以看到中文，觉得一见如故，然后最后呢，他就决定学了中文。
Was it, how do you say hello in Japanese?
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Was it hajimashite? Chinese is like, ni
hao.
Pow. Yes, I love Chinese.
Yeah.
Yes, the best.
Yes.
Let's get ready for paragraph 1. All right, before we get into paragraph 1, let's look at our subtitle today. Discover a popular series based on workplace fiction.
没错，我们来先看一下副标题哦。在这边的话，你看到 discover a popular series 哦，这个 series 都要特别注意一下。你看到后面好像是 ies， 好像是复数，对不对？你看到前面有一个哎呦，怎么回事？原来 series 单数、复数都是长一个样子的。好，在这里特别小心。第二个呢 based on workplace fiction， 我们来讲一下 fiction 这个字。fiction 的话指的是虚构的小说，那 workplace 指的是职场，所以在这边 workplace fiction 指的是职场的小说。
All right, the opposite of fiction is non-fiction. N-O-N, 然后再说 fiction. We're going to see this in paragraph 2. This is really tricky for students, even American students. And 这个是有一点幼稚, but there's this person on YouTube called Harry Kindergarten Music, and he sings a song that makes it really easy. And again, 这是蛮幼稚, but 是真的超好用. So 他在先会唱一个 fiction 那个假的事情, and then 之后他会讲有关一个真的东西 non-fiction. And the song is like, 这样子 he says like, a book about a talking dog, that's fiction. A book that teaches you how to dance ballet, non-fiction. A book about a flying mouse. That's fiction. A book about how big planes are made. Non-fiction. And he just creates these examples. And this is like the best way I've ever heard to teach fiction versus non-fiction. So, ran江真的。
没错，所以在这边的话，老师介绍一个非常有趣的这个 YouTube， 他们讲到说，fiction 跟 non-fiction， 它最好的方式就是就说什么如果你看到一只会说话的狗 ，that's fiction 是虚构的；如果说呢教你如何跳芭蕾，这是 non-fiction 是非虚构的，是教你真的事情。所以它一个一个要告诉你，久了之后你就知道什么是真的，什么是假的，很清楚就知道 fiction 跟 non-fiction 的差别了。
You can look at that after you watch. It's called Harry Kindergarten Music, Fiction, Non-Fiction. Really good video. It's great. Let's get right in. Paragraph 1. When you think of exciting places, what do you think of? A bank would probably not be the first place that comes to mind.
好，我们再看第一段的第一句话还有后面的这些，他说 when you think of exciting places， 光是你要想到说那什么地方很刺激很有趣 ，what do you think of？ 你会想到什么呢？ A bank would probably not be the first place that comes to mind。 也许你第一个想到应该不会是银行吧？银行开玩笑，很多人在那边要做认真正经的事情，哪有什么刺激可言？可能不会想到这件事，对吧？
However, that is the setting of the hit television series Hanzawa Naoki.
OK， 好，他就说 ，However， 不过呢 ，That's the setting 指的就是场景 ，the setting of something 就是后面这个东西的设定的场景哦。That's the setting of the hit television series Hanzawa Naoki， 也就是呢半泽直树这个很热门的电视剧，它所设定的场景就在银行这个很刺激的地方。
The main character in the series works at Japan's largest bank, and he has to overcome incredible challenges.
好，在这边他第三句话就讲了 ，the main character 指的是这个主角，这个主角怎么样 ？In the series works at Japan's largest bank。好，在这个剧中设定的话是东京中央银行。好，在这个地方全这个日本最大的银行，在这个地方工作。And he has to overcome incredible challenges. 他必须要突破，要想办法，要克服 incredible 让人难以想象的这种重大的挑战跟困难。
这个第一段有好多很好用有关故事的单词。We have characters, we have a series, we have fiction, and we have the setting. Like these are 4 really super important words. 超好用耶。
没有错。所以如果你今天要讲到说一个故事，不管是电影还是小说的话，你都会提到主角 main character， 然后可能场景 setting 这些字都非常非常好用，一定要记得用。而且还有一个字还蛮常常使用到的，就是 the first thing that comes to mind, the first play that comes to mind。就是说，如果提到什么东西，你第一个会想到的是什么 ？The first thing that comes to mind 就是指第一个想到的事情。
All right, let's get ready for paragraph 2. Welcome back to Enjoy English School. Let's get ready for paragraph 2. But first, I remember reading something interesting about foreigners who can speak Japanese.
Oh. Okay.
And so in Japanese, you have kind of 2 ways of talking. You have like the feminine girl's way of talking, and then you have like the hi masculine,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But most Japanese teachers are female, and a lot of people that learn to speak Japanese are men. So foreigners that learn to speak Japanese usually talk like Japanese women. Isn't that what
Oh, 对哦 OK,
But I do that too because I studied a lot of Chinese for my wife, and I speak Chinese like my wife. So I probably sound like a girl, I guess.
在用语上面呢，在日文啦，或者像中文里面都有一些那种有的像日本的话，在有些字的话只有男生能用，女生不能用。那如果老师刚刚讲说他之前读了一个有趣的故事，很多人外国人在学日文的时候，因为是跟着女老师学，所以很多的用语各方面多半是女性的一些用语比较会说话。所以像讲说一个很壮的这个男生，然后呢学的时候讲起日文来的时候，哇，原来像娇滴滴的小姑娘一样，就觉得好特别。然后老师就讲到说，他自己的中文很多是跟他老婆学的，所以他在讲中文的时候特别的温柔啊。
I mean, that's how you learn languages, by practicing with different people. Okay, let's get in. The series Hanzawa Naoki is based on books by Ikeido
OK, 来我们看这一段了，他就提到说 The series Hanzawa Naoki is based on books by Ikeido Jun。这句话在讲的意思是说 Ikeido Jun 就是这个作品的作者，好 Ikeido 就是池井户 Jun 是他的这个 first name， 就是 Jun 就是润，池井户润是半泽直树的这个作者。
Something is based on something else.
OK, something is based on something else 指的意思呢，就是说这个东西，这个故事是根据什么什么所写的、所做的等等。Based on books written by 这个 written 可以不用讲 ，written 去掉之后就变成 books by， 就是后面这个人所写的书所拍摄而成的这个电视剧。
Ikeido used to work as a banker in Japan during the booming 1980s and 1990s.
好，所以他就告诉你了 Ikeido 他这位先生他自己过往的背景咯。他说 Ikeido used to work as a banker。以前呢，他是做银行员，在日本做银行员的。During the booming 1980s to 1990s， 所以1980年到1990年这段，这是日本这非常非常辉煌的这种经济爆发的10年。Booming 的指的意思就是这个 economy，the booming economy 经济整个起飞啊，这种感觉。
The opposite of booming is bust, B-U-S-T. But we don't say busting economy. We have boom or bust.
Boom or bust. Boom 就是蓬勃发展起飞 ，bust 就是整个爆掉。
During this period, Japan's economy was growing rapidly, and Ikeido was right in the middle of the action.
好，现在告诉你了 ，During this period 就是1980到1990这段时间呢 ，Japan's economy was growing rapidly， 好，非常非常好的这个经济在日本，他就继续说了 ，and Ikeido was right in the middle of the action。刚好 ，when you say be in the middle of the action， 就是代表如火如荼的这个过程当中，你刚好在里面，这种讲到攻逢其胜。如果是好事的话，我们讲攻逢其胜；而如果是坏事的话，你就刚好在这个如火如荼之中呢，你就在第一线这种感觉。
It's interesting because this is 100% true. Like when the Japanese economy was booming, this was a scary thing for the Americans because many Americans were afraid that Japan would buy up all these American companies. After World War II, America was very strong, but the economy boomed for too long. Things got expensive, and Japan could make them faster and cheaper. So now Japan suddenly had a lot of money and they could buy these American companies. You could see this in a lot of 1980s movies where everyone's worried about Japan buying everything. Now, maybe this makes you think about China today, actually, where China right now is booming and has a lot of money and they're buying a lot of things. So we've seen this before. This happened in Japan. This is what China is now. And it was America after World War II.
没错，所以说老师讲到说，1980年代那时候，因为那时候呢，这个日本经济起飞，他们做出来商品非常非常好，所以到后来刚好日本赚了很多钱，大家就开始害怕说，天哪，他会不会把我们这些美国的公司通通都买走了？啊，事实上的话，你也看到现在可能中国它整个那个经济也在这个起飞的过程当中，可能有同样类似的这种主题，同样的一些感觉跟记忆，又会在美国人心中出现。
Our next sentence says, Ikeido eventually turned to writing. When we turn to something, it means we start to do something. So he started to write.
所以到后来的话呢，我们的主角池井户润呢，他就说他到最后呢，他就选择走上了写作这条道路。
Our next sentence says, after starting out with nonfiction, that's the real stuff, he decided to try his hand at workplace, that's fiction, and began creating stories about the world of business.
OK， 所以老师在提到这个 nonfiction 跟 fiction 的时候，都还会唱刚刚那个 YouTube 那首歌哈，那种曲调还在这边。他说 ，After starting out with nonfiction， 他最开始写作的时候是选择走那种非虚构小说，也是写实的这种小说。后来呢，在经过了几次之后 ，he decided to try his hand at. When you say try one's hand at something, that means you start doing something. 你就开始说，我试试看写。第一次 for the first time， 他们试试看写这个职场的小说好了 ，and began creating stories about the world of business， 开始就去构思出这种企业界或者商场等等这样子一个文化，这样的一个故事出来。
If you play video games, especially shooting video games, you totally understand try your hand at something. Because, like, 有一些武器 some weapons you're really good at. And there's some weapons you want to play with, but you're not really good at them. And when you play with them, you're terrible and you always lose. But when you're starting and you're really clumsy and bad at them, you're trying your hand at that weapon.
Yeah, exactly. 老师刚刚讲到射击游戏对，比方说我很擅长用狙击枪，但是用散弹枪的时候，砰，怎么打不到？砰，一直失败，对，这时候就可以 try your hand at something， 就是试试看手感，但是你不知道你自己擅不擅长使用这个东西。
Yeah, at first you're like boom, 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 and then like the new one you're like pew, pew, pew.
就不太一样。
It's not so good.
Oh, so sad.
Let's take a quick break. Welcome back to Enjoy English School, and we are talking about Ikeido Jun's famous stories of the Hanzawa Naoki series. I will learn how to say that someday. Why did a book and television series about the workplace become so popular?
好，接下来在第3段里面呢，他就要问到说，为什么银行这样的一个题材会大家这么喜欢呢？这句话第一句开头就讲说 ，Why did a book and a television series about the workplace become so popular？ 到底为什么大家对于职场这样子题材的书还有电影这么的感兴趣
Many people can identify with the problems the main character faces.
好，所以在这边要特别注意一下 many people can identify with 当你说 identify with something or someone, that means maybe you have similar experiences. 也许有类似的经验，所以你可以看到之后觉得感同身受。比方说，在被上司欺压的时候，你看了觉得对。我的上司是这样对我的 You can identify with the character 所以在提到 identify with 的时候 You feel what they feel
That's right
你就感受到那种感觉有的时候你还会听到另外一个字也会蛮常听到的它是来自于 empathy 这个字变成动词之后把 y 去掉变成 empathize You empathize with the character 也可以不管是用 identify 还是 empathize 都后面都要加 with 来表达一种感同身受的感觉哦
If you watch a lot of YouTube and you watch Americans talk 这个 empathize or identify with 他们比较正式 Maybe you've heard young people say I feel you When we say I feel you 不是你的感觉 I feel happy I feel you That means I understand
没错或者是常常会听到人讲说 Oh I can totally relate
Yeah.
I can relate to that 意思就是说哇我完全知道那是什么感觉来表达你对对方所讲的事情有共鸣有共感的那种感觉哦
I feel that. Our next sentence says, in real life, it's difficult for people to stand up to the wrongdoings of superiors.
好，在这边的话，这句话很重要。In real life， 在现实生活当中呢 ，it's difficult for people to stand up to the wrongdoings of superiors。上级所做的一些不道德行为，你要挺身去对抗是很难的。这边特别小心 ，stand up to 这个地方这个 to， 请帮我把它圈起来哦。When you say stand up to， 后面要接的东西会是你要对抗的事物。讨厌的对象、压榨你的人等等，这个 to 是你要去对抗的，所以我们是起身反抗、起身对抗。有的时候你还会听到人讲 stand up for. When you say stand up for yourself, for something like for your rights, 为了你的权益而战。for 后面接的是你想要维护、捍卫的东西。to 的话是你要对抗的对象、坏人、坏事。
Your superior are your bosses or your teachers. So superior, we can see the word super. And 我们讲过这个 at Enjoy English. Super really means over you, under you, around you. That's what super really means. So your superior is above you. They tell you what to do.
没错。
Our next sentence says, the main character, however, is ready and willing to challenge authority.
好，这句话就讲到 the main character 我们的主角 Hanzawa Naoki however is ready and willing to challenge authority when you say challenge authority 指的意思就是指去挑战威权你明明知道说这个是不对的事情但是他是主管一般人讲说哎算了我不要让自己不好过可是他不一样他就说不行这是不对的他跟主管可能要对抗这种感觉
Our next sentence says sometimes the best entertainment comes from unlikely places even a bank
Okay, sometimes the best entertainment 最棒的这种娱乐呢 comes from unlikely places 会来自于你最意想不到的地方例如像什么 even a bank 甚至像是银行这种地方都有可能看到这么有戏的这种故事
Now this word authority looks like the word in our title author and that's because auth in Latin means to invent something and so an author will invent a story And the authority, your boss, your teacher, the police, well, not the police, the politicians, 政治家, they invent the laws.
所以说在这里的话 A-U-T-H, auth这个字的意思就是 invent 就是去创造的意思 author 就是创造故事的人那呢其他那些在上面那些威权统治的人他们 they make policies they make laws 就是去立法的人所以都是创造的概念
Let's get ready for vocab review. All right, it is time for vocab review, and there's a lot of good words today. Number one, a character.
Character 就是角色的意思。如果你提到 the main character， 当然指的是主角。
Number two, a series.
A series 通常指的是一个作品，一部作品而已。好，比方说像是 TV series 就是电视剧。好，在这里的话可以指很多的方面。
Next, we have a phrase to overcome challenges.
overcome challenges。overcome 指的是克服 ，challenges 指的是挑战。overcome challenges 是非常常用的一个片语哦。
Next, we have a quiz question. Non-fiction. Is this real or is this fake?
Non-fiction。fiction 是虚构的 ，non-fiction 就是事实、写实的这种小说或是这种题材。
And that's right. The opposite of non-fiction is fiction. Our next phrase, to identify with something or somebody.
To identify with somebody or something 指的是能够感同身受，能够感觉到对方的那种情绪。
Next, we have to face a problem.
To face a problem 就是去面对一个问题。
And lastly, we have a superior or an authority.
Superior or authority 都是指的你的上司啦，或者是你这个上面主管的这个人，好，你可以叫做 superior or authority.
And that's all the time we have for today at Enjoy English School. But we'll be back with day two tomorrow when Anthony will say,
やられたらやれ返す。
a lot.
やり返した。
Oh, thank you. I can't say it. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
第34页专题特写，半泽直树之父池井户润。
Ikeido Jun, author of Hanzawa Naoki series. When you think of exciting places, what do you think of? A bank would probably not be the first place that comes to mind. However, that is the setting of the hit television series Hanzawa Naoki. The main character in the series works at Japan's largest bank, and he has to overcome incredible challenges. The series, Hanzawa Naoki, is based on books by Ikeido Jun. Ikeido used to work as a banker in Japan during the booming 1980s to 1990s. During this period, Japan's economy was growing rapidly, and Ikeido was right in the middle of the action. Ikeido eventually turned to writing. After starting out with non-fiction, he decided to try his hand at workplace fiction and began creating stories about the world of business. Why did a book and television series about the workplace become so popular? Many people can identify with the problems the main character faces. In real life, it's difficult for people to stand up to the wrongdoings of superiors. The main character, however, is ready and willing to challenge authority. Sometimes the best entertainment comes from unlikely places, even a bank.